President Trump has suspended the green card lottery program. The announcement was made after it was revealed that the alleged Brown University school shooter who killed 2 people and injured 9 entered the United States in 2017 using the program. Here to discuss is the Hill senior editor, Jesse Burns. Jesse, what do we know about the decision and how many people will this impact? We know that this green card lottery system is used by a diverse number of countries with immigrants coming to the United States in this program.
That's right. And ostensibly, this could impact up to 55,000 visa applicants per year. That's the number that are allowed into the United States through this program. Now, you'll know, Strategy, that this program is designed for countries that typically have low immigration to the United States. Congress was the one that set up this program, and it's actually, these visas are largely overseen by the State Department. We haven't really heard anything from them on how they are handling this change in administrative policy. What we have heard is from the Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, and she has indicated that there will be changes at least to a portion of these visas. Of course, this comes right after the administration and the public learned that the alleged shooter in these 2 tragic incidents came into the United States in 2017 during Trump's first term using one of these visas. Now, it's worth noting that Trump, back in 2017, unsuccessfully pushed Congress to actually withdraw this program. He did that following a deadly attack in New York City from a visa holder who was an Uzbek national. So certainly this has been an issue that's been on the administration's radar and on the president's radar for quite some time.
That's right. And, this really isn't the first time the administration has targeted immigration programs. We saw that after learning a suspect was not a U.S. citizen, especially in cases where we've seen recent events take place. We saw a similar push after an Afghan national was arrested for shooting 2 National Guard troop members near the White House. So are Republicans really united behind the Trump administration's crackdown on these immigration policies?
Well, you're right. The administration has really painted with a broad brush and used some of these really high-profile instances of violence to announce large-scale administrative changes in policy. And largely, we've seen Republicans in Congress supportive of this White House, supportive of its efforts to crack down on immigration, both illegal immigration, but also now in this case, legal immigration. Many of these changes that we are seeing are targeting thousands of people who are coming to the United States through legal avenues. And so they are trying to use these instances to bring about changes to those programs in addition to the illegal immigration at the border, which has dominated electoral politics now for years. And so I think you're largely seeing Republicans support it. There are some GOP senators after the shooting in Washington, D.C. with the National Guard troops that did warn about any kind of knee-jerk changes in policy. But by and large, Republicans have been standing in line with the president on this.
And so, Jesse, what legal challenges will this decision face? Is the administration allowed to suspend the program without any congressional approval whatsoever?
Well, that's a big outstanding question. And of course, Congress is the one that created this program. There are questions about the scope of how many actual visas would be impacted by this. So I think you're going to continue to see some of those questions being raised by lawmakers who are, number one, maybe warning against any kind of knee-jerk change in policy, but also number two, does the administration have the power to do this? We'd expect to see some type of challenge, at least from Congress, to say that is our domain to make any kind of changes to this program. But as we've seen with various issues from the Education Department, USAID on down, many of the programs the administration has targeted, they've been doing that unilaterally without Congress's input. And so, we would expect the administration to continue in that vein with this.
And, following up on that a bit, Trump's immigration crackdown continues to be one of his strongest policies, especially with his MAGA base. So is there any talk on and about in Washington to highlight what the administration sees as one of its biggest successes? Border security and immigration, exactly to kind of build up their support for their base there to keep the conversation away from affordability, which we know has impacted the president in recent polling, Jesse.
Well, on the part of the White House, absolutely. And we've seen that even though the president has seen lagging approval ratings towards the end of his first year back in office. On the issue of immigration, he continues to receive high marks broadly. And so that is something that, he has long viewed as a strength, one that he wants to lean into, and one that, frankly, the administration wants to focus on right now. They don't want to be necessarily, on the defense. We've seen this with Trump on repeated occasions where he is kind of operating and it appears most at ease when he's on the offensive, when he is making the case for tougher border immigration enforcement rather than trying to play defense by explaining himself on inflation and affordability. And so I think we've seen that play out in recent weeks, and we're going to continue to see that heading into 2026 as the White House signals he's going to be back out there doing more stump appearances, trying to make the case for the administration's agenda.
That's right. The president always making it clear on the campaign trail that he was going to put policies in place to impact illegal immigration, but his policies in place now to impact legal immigration is certainly new and striking a chord within Congress and causing a lot of concern. Thank you for that update, Jesse Burns.
Thank you.